think. You're live.
Morning. My name is Senior Chief Clampett. I just wanted to thank all the young people from Wisconsin and South Carolina that sent me such nice letters the day of my honor flight. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and in January of 1954, just before I turned 18, I joined the Naval Reserve. I didn't want to go to college. That was a mistake, but I didn't want to go to college, and I didn't want to continue doing what I was doing, which was loading big trucks. I decided I would check the military. I was in the reserves from January until October when I joined the regular Navy. I went to boot camp, which is basic training for any other branch of the service, but the Navy is boot camp down in Bainbridge, Maryland. That was for 9 weeks. They taught me how to wear my uniform, how to fold my clothes, how to shine my shoes, how to do what I was told. They sent me to A school down in Norfolk, where I went and I became a radarman seaman apprentice.
What is a radar man?
A radarman has now been changed to an operations specialist. Admiral Zumwalt felt it was more indicative explaining the job. We sit and watch radar scopes. We help get the ship into port, in position when we're at sea, within a formation. We do anti-submarine air control, we do gunnery, we do maneuvers. It's a good field in that there were so many different things that you do. You're not stuck with the same job every day. I did 17 and a half years on sea duty, including the last ship which I was on. We carried 650 Marines to wherever they had to go for whatever exercise or problem they had that needed the Marines there. We had a squadron of 8 ships, and we went where the Admiral told us to.
Were you ever scared being in the
Was I ever
Navy?
scared? Yes. First time I went to sea, we were refueling from another ship, and we had a bad wave came up, and the wave took 8 people off the ship over the side, and that was the last we saw them. Was I scared? Yes.
How many different places have you been?
How many different places have I been? I've been the Mediterranean, I've been the North Atlantic, I've been the Caribbean, I've been to the Western Pacific. I never bothered to count or list all the places that I've been, but I've been places that I never would have seen had I stayed a civilian.
Where did you sleep on board?
Okay, when you sleep, when you're enlisted, man, enlisted is pay grade E1 through E6, E being enlisted and E1 being lowest, E6 being the highest. We slept in a compartment. There might be 60 of us. We slept 3 high, and we had some kind of a divider between us and the man in the bunk beside us. When we had, when you made chief, which is what I have here, with except doesn't have the star, we had private berthing. in that we had in the room we had 7 or 8 with a lot more room, a lot nicer beds, and that's where we slept.
How was the food?
How was the food? Well, that all depends what you had for a cook. Every ship had different cooks. Some were good, some were okay, and some weren't too good. Had one ship that I was on, we had a man who won the All-Navy baking contest for 2 years in a row. He was a friend of mine. In fact, we went on liberty together, and sometimes we'd come back, and if we were hungry, he'd go in the galley and fix us something at 2 o'clock in the morning, just to hold us until breakfast.
Could you explain what a Korean veteran is?
Okay, a Korean veteran. I did not participate in the Korean War per se. If the military had that if you joined the military or you were in the military on active duty, by the 30th of June of 1955, you were considered a Korean veteran. I joined, as I said, the 4th of January of 1954, so that made me a Korean veteran. I never served off the coast of or in Korea.
Is it cool being a veteran?
Is it cool being a veteran? Sometimes it's real cool. It was real cool when we went on the honor flight. We were given all kinds of accolades. We were treated very well. Some people don't realize what a person has to do to become a veteran. There's a lot of times that you wish you weren't doing what you were doing, but that's what you were paid for, so you did it. And after a certain period of time, some people just went in the military for 2 years, either drafted or enlisted for 2 years. So at the end of 2 years, they became veterans. I did 24 years. I'm a veteran.
Who was your best friend in the Navy?
Had a couple of good friends in the Navy. It's hard to say. In my career, I was on 10 destroyer-type ships and 1 LPD, a troop transport that, like I said, carried 650 Marines. When you're moving that often, it's hard to say this one was a best friend or that one was a best friend. I guess the best friend I probably ever had was a bosun mate. He retired Master Chief Hugh Rakes. He lives in Goose Creek, South Carolina. Good man. He literally saved my life.
Could you explain how he did that?
We were in Greece on liberty. Captain had sent the chiefs over to have a day of just relaxing. And we came back to the ship and we had some rough water. And you had to step from the boat that we were on onto the ladder that was down on the side of the ship to get aboard the ship. Hugh had gone on just before I did, and I was getting ready to step, and we hit a wave, and the boat that I was on dropped down, and Hugh reached out and grabbed me and pulled me, or could have been crushed between the ship, the boat I was on, and the ladder on the ship.
That must have been kind of scary.
It was scary. Scary after I realized what had happened.
Were you ever shot?
Was I ever shot? No. We were over in Vietnam, we were shot at, but due to one of the men that worked for me, he was an electronic warfare specialist, he did some finagling with some of his equipment, which is classified, but instead of being where they were shooting where we weren't. And they didn't get us.
Did you have a dog when you were in the Navy?
I had a couple dogs when I was in the Navy. When I went in, I had a little basset named Muffin. While I was in the Navy, I got a basset for my children. I also got them a Weimaraner at one time. Beagles. Had a lot of them. Didn't get to see them a lot when I was at sea. For example, on the last ship that I was on, the one that carried the Marines, we were gone, actually, from our home port, the 3.5 years that we were on the ship, we were gone 76% of the time. I'm sure your teacher can explain what that means and how many days it was.
That sure seems like a long time. Did you miss your family while you were away?
Oh yeah, I missed a lot of things that my children, when they're growing up, what they did and things that they had the chance to see that I should have seen. But when I went in with the idea of making it a career. When I got married, my wife knew that I was going to stay in, and we got through it.
What was your favorite thing being in the Navy?
Favorite thing being in the Navy probably was being at sea. No matter how bad the day is, you can, at the end of the day, when your basic work is done, you can walk to the back end of the ship, which is called the fantail, and sit and look at the stars, look at the waves, and it's very peaceful.
Would you describe yourself as a hero?
No. I did the job I was trained to do and paid to do. The heroes are the guys that we saw their graves at Arlington. They gave the ultimate sacrifice. They died for the country so that you people could live without fear and enjoy what this country means.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to these great kids who wrote you all these letters?
Thank you seems so very inadequate. It was beautiful getting the letters. I got letters from South Carolina, from Wisconsin, and got a few here from Kentucky, and just made the time you put in seem a little more special. And it was beautiful of you young people to do it, and I thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Senior Chief Clampett. We certainly appreciate your service to the country and taking the time to talk to these great kids. You take care, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.